ProYoCo.
Boink. Let's see. This time I will succeed.
Vicas.
Yes,
Vicas, I
Medibot.
want to ask your permission for something before I go and do it.
Okay. Well, I would ask for permission to die, but go for it.
Do you mind if I talk a bit about YoCoBot?
Go for it.
Okay, so the thing about YoCoBot is that we've identified sort of the dominant pure strategies, if we're not considering mixed strategies at all.
Sure.
The one dominant pure strategy is the full clear strategy, where the player's goal is to perform full clears because this maximizes points earned per second. Assuming no interference from the other player, and when you make a full clear, it's either a 5, 6, 7, or 8 way combination essentially, and then you earn that many times 2 points for performing it, and so you earn either 10, 12, 14, or 16. So since the game is played to 25, you can see how earning 14 points right off the bat
Pretty
would
major.
be pretty good, because you can go like 14 into 12, 16 into whatever you want, 12 into 14 or better, and 10 into 16.
I just want to say, Vicas, nice bounce cancel.
Yo, I'm learning the pro strats.
So you have that as one pure strategy, and for that you probably want to go with Yoshi, simply because if you do get panicked or slaved, that occurs for the minimum amount of time due to his higher defense.
Sure.
Didn't you ban everybody but Yoshi?
For certain you're talking about something
that correctly,
else.
even slightly.
So then the other dominant pure strategy is the
Fragger, are you enjoying this stream? Sorry.
Fragger, no, if people in the chat don't want me to talk about YoCoBot, then
I am happy for you to talk about YoCoBot.
Okay, so the other strategy is attempting to maximize Yoshi cookies generated in order to perform more attacks, and the idea being that if you perform enough attacks, then the power of just attacking that much will lead you to victory. If the opponent is constantly being, panicked or slaved, and then you're reducing their score and increasing your own, it doesn't matter how good they are at the game because they basically don't have permission to play it.
Sure.
And with that strategy, you would probably actually want to pick Peach due to her increased attack switching speed, so that essentially a run of bad luck doesn't last as long. And even though you're against Yoshi, so then the question sort of becomes, how do these two pure strategies match up against one another? And then we can also introduce the question of mixed
wait,
strategies.
Vicas, get the checkpoint before you try this.
Nope. Nope.
Because the thing about the full combo strategy is that it's extremely vulnerable to disruption. If you get panicked, you just spent a whole lot of time not earning any points.
Right.
And your fuse count was counting down, and since your fuse only goes back up when you do make a match, you can get put into really, really awkward situations. And so then, this, from a player's perspective, sort of begins to necessitate the need for some kind of mixed strategy, because it is still the best plan in terms of points per second to go for...
Beetle, no, don't! Alas.
To go for the full combo, but at the same time, you need to not...
Hey, why'd you blow up that skeleton? It belongs in the museum.
Nah, it's gone now.
Well, I meant my Animal Crossing museum. I think that's one of the ones I don't have yet.
Hello there, Mole Knight.
Guess what robot master this guy is?
Revked. I think that if I can make... I think an optimal strategy might exist, but it would be a mixed reactive strategy.
Implement.
Possibly. Again, this, once I actually make bots, we can run some empirical tests and see, which of my bots...
Wait, am I fighting Khrushchev bot?
It's Drill Man.
But even though... And this is where, it gets sort of interesting.
Comrade! What's his name?
Because full combos are human achievable. They require a lot of practice, because it's a little bit difficult to correctly recognize sort of the situations that are, where it's possible to full combo, and then to actually assemble them without accidentally doing clears along the way is far from trivial. And because it's so much easier to just reliably make doubles, this is a much preferred strategy for humans to engage in. However, I have seen other people, and I have myself, with practice in a real-time event, put together a full combo, and it's terrifying. There's a special sound effect for it. It goes, and suddenly you have like 14 points to your opponent. Like, your opponent has been like earning points pretty well, and they're at like 8. And then you have 14, and they're like, wait, what?
Success! I am great against these bosses. Halfway.
Medibot, can I button real fast? I love how this guy looks, and when he's on his rear end, how he's got his claws up, kind of like, arrgh!
Oh yeah!
Oh my god! I love how this knight looks. He's like my fave. I don't know if he's my fave. They're all my favorites. I love the Order of No Quarter. I want action figures of all of them.
Yoshi's Cookie I just love it so much because it's the mathematical representation of the game is just like brain dead simple. It's super easy to represent, which makes like the job of trying to script for it actually pretty easy. But then there are all these little considerations about how to best play the game. What actually, because it is not a single player game, even though it, like many versus puzzle games, has a lot of components to it where you really are just sort of doing your own thing. Because of the existence of like the
none
status
of these are great, but I'd get the charge shot.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Because, Panic and Slave both directly interfere in their own ways
because more beer is clearly the answer.
With the other person's ability to sort of play the single player game. And so, like, we could study the game without attacks, but I think if we do that, then it simply becomes obvious that just going for full combos all the time is the best. And so that's like, okay, we solved it. So it is more satisfying to think about the actual game with the complexity of this idea of disruption.
I've only played a small amount of Yoshi's Cookie, but I know exactly what you mean.
In Tetris Attack, when you drop garbage on your opponent, it doesn't actually stop what they're doing.
Right.
The garbage goes on top of what they're doing, not in the middle. Like, if you could jam garbage in the middle of someone's stack in Tetris Attack...
Oh, they're anime.
Little attacks would become very important.
Right.
But Yoshi's Cookie very much has this, like, very quick reactive element to it, where if you see your opponent going for a setup, you really want to hit that Panic or Slave.
Right. Because you can actually stop there.
Because that, like, Panic especially, Panic is the best status effect to inflict. Because it removes their control. Blind doesn't remove their control and is therefore the weakest. Panic and Slave both remove their
That's a little
control, but
weird.
of the two, Panic, on average, will put them in a worse board state than Slave will.
The problem with Slave, obviously, if I'm not mistaken, is that while they're slaved to you, you can't pay full attention to your own board because you have to prevent yourself from accidentally making combos on their behalf.
You don't... Like, in theory, yes. In practice, most players don't bother watching to avoid that. Occasionally, here's how I play the Slave. Is that if I, am about to line up a Slave, I go over and look at my opponent's board. I see if they have 5 Yoshi cookies, and if I can perform a reversal attack.
Oh god,
because
fire!
that's just super satisfying. Yeah. Also, bots are functionally immune to blind.
Right, because they know what the board state is anyway.
Strictly speaking, my bot cheats because it simply reads the memory addresses, which do not get changed when you are inflicted with blind. But when you're, in theory, because Panic just makes, still one normal moves, just someone else is in control of them.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've been doing good setup, they only have the duration of the Panic to do that many, quote, wrong moves.
Right.
And so you just have to then spend at most that much time to undo all of those moves.
Mm-hmm.
It cannot take longer to undo the moves than it took to do them, because all moves are reversible.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, unless they cause a match.
Right, if they performed a match, they can do that. But also, if they do that, that immediately breaks you out of the Slave, as well as awarding you the point, as it normally does. When you're panicked, I'm going to have to go back and look at this, because I don't think I took careful enough notes about what exactly Panic does. But I want to say that it performs a certain number of just, piece swaps at every Panic step, as it were.
I can't think of what they want me to do here.
It doesn't have to follow the normal movement rules, because it just says, I swap the piece at 1,1 with the piece at 3,4.
I want to say about the actual Shovel Knight, this is one of my favorite of these challenge action stages, just because it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, the Dust Knuckle is,
pretty sweet.
It's cool because it makes you feel like you're doing something very dangerous because you're going over lava with it, even though if you just keep mashing the button, you'll never fail. Or at least in most cases you will. And so it's like you can...
I mean, you could be Dr. What and screw this up no less than 10 times.
And then they give you a slightly harder one. They give you a slightly harder one. And so, right, so Panic... On average, here's my extremely unproven, but still mathematical sounding statement.
Okay. Panic
on average puts you in a worse state than a Slave will, if you're going for full combos. So, in the pure strategy matchup between full combo Yoshi and Disruption Peach, because if you're going on Disruption, I'm tempted to say you'd want to pick Peach, just to have the faster message speed.
Right.
But then the question comes up: if you know that you're up against Disruption Peach, then it becomes optimal to play Disruption Yoshi. Almost.
But of course, then you would have to figure out some sort of condition that allows you to say that you are up against Disruption Peach.
Right. If you want the bot to be able to detect its opponent's strategy,
and tell what's going on, that becomes way more complicated.
Terrifying new prospect.
Yeah.
At this rate, Yoko Bot's gonna be Turing complete or some shit.
So, and the way that the
Can Yoko Bot feel love?
The way that the Disruption Bot plays optimally, I actually made an optimization to it just the other day when I was thinking about it. Optimally, it opens with a double, which generates 5 Yoshi cookies. From then on, it wants to make triples that involve a set of Yoshi cookies while it has a good attack. Because when you make a combo, it's like a single combo generates 1 Yoshi cookies and a double generates 5. And anything above that still just generates 5. But a match that involves Yoshi cookies doesn't count towards your combo. So if you match with Yoshi cookies, you need to make a triple to get another 5 Yoshi cookies immediately. So sort of the decision tree is like, do I have 5 Yoshi cookies? If no, make a double.
And you don't want to overbake.
Yeah, you don't want to choke on Yoshi cookies, certainly, but just being Peach helps mitigate that.
Because you have quicker cycling between
YoCo options. So it's fine that you're, even against Yoshi, okay, my panic only lasts for 1 3/4 seconds or whatever, because I wasn't doing that to keep you out of the game for a long time. I was just to like make you waste your work.
Right.
And so, like, if you have the 5 Yoshi cookies, and you have a good attack up, you make a triple.
ADW. We're talking
if you
about
don't have a
Yoshi's
good
cookie.
attack up, you make another double that doesn't involve Yoshi cookies.
I'm popping in real quick. I gotta go cook stuff, but I'll be popping out of Skype. I'll be watching from the chat and stuff.
All right.
Cookies, you say?
Yeah, bake some cookies. Bake some cookies.
No, I need to finish cooking supper.
It was nice to hang out with you for a little while. Nice to hang. Yeah.
Oh,
You'll have a nice night, all right?
Later days.
I can't
Have a good
see
night.
him and he killed me.
Yep.
This is an issue.
Use your phase gauntlet.
That seems like a good idea.
Told the streamer how to play the game.
Less good idea.
Well, I was just
What I
trying
really
to
feel
help.
is that, like, at a certain point, my ability to make useful mathematical models will fail, and my ability to make bots will be greater, and I just have to, come up with a strategy, script it out, and then make it fight.
Right.
And that's going to be get sort of the empirical method rather than a purely theoretical one. But that's
Kickstart
fine.
it so you can do it
Sure.
full time. I would donate money to the YoCo bot Kickstarter.
If I actually make the bot and it wins 80% of its matches, and I have a statistically significant number of matches, then it is the best out of all my bots. Like that. Even if I can't really prove why.
Right. Eventually it just becomes a heuristic.
Yeah, but speaking of heuristics, oh my god.
Speaking of heuristics, oh my god. Alright, that's that stream in a nutshell.
Like, I've been trying for so long to figure out an actual distance heuristic for measuring the distance between 2 states in order to do full combos more efficiently, and I just have nothing.
Oh
I have
god, I can't even
freaking nothing.
imagine. Like,
Well, why not? I have a dumb idea that probably doesn't make any sense, but
think I
came
just
immediately
lost
to
that.
mind if you want to hear it.
What's your idea?
Assign each possible cookie a numeric value, just an arbitrary
Each
numeric
cookie
value.
is already a numeric value. That's
I mean,
how
like
it's
an
figured out.
arbitrary numeric value that doesn't have to do with, the hex code.
Okay.
Each kind of cookie, pecans, Yoshi cookies, etc.
Yeah.
And just add them all up and compare the sums between 2 states. See how different they are? I don't know, it probably doesn't mean anything, but it was an idea that came off the top of my head.
That doesn't solve the problem I'm trying to solve.
Alright, well, I felt like I should throw it out there.
alright, let's submarine.
Doug Adonis essay, I'm not good enough at math to know if you're trolling me or not, so I'm going to assume you're not and say, no, I have not tried information geometry on Riemannian manifolds.
That is a thing from Star Trek TNG.
Piece of shit. I got trolled!